We soon learn that this is beyond us. We are there to find serenity for ourselves through giving and sharing. Sometimes people who come to Al-Anon desperate and helpless partake of the healing interchange of the group. And then, after the alcoholic has found sobriety, they feel they don't need Al-Anon any longer. Once over their own hurdle, they forget their obligation to help others. Today's reminder: living with an alcoholic does not mean only a drinking alcoholic. It can also mean living with a person who is remaking their life so as to live without alcohol. If at any time we needed alcohol, the Al-Anon, if at any time we needed Al-Anon, the need does not vanish when sobriety comes into the picture. It is by continuing to give of ourselves that we continue to receive. In helping others, we continue to enrich our own lives. The quote of the day. This is just the quote of this page. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due when it is within the power of thy hand to do it, says the Bible. I pray that I may not be tempted by indifference or selfishness to withhold from others the help I have received. Did that make sense?
Yeah, in my head it makes sense.
So I've gotten help, and then I feel better, and so I leave.
So then the concept and the meditation is starting with the Al-Anon, the person in the addicted relationship. So you have an alcoholic, and this was our story. You have an alcoholic.
I had an alcoholic.
You want to go to these meetings for him to get sober, and then you're like, oh, dang, they want me to get sober. Like, I'm not drunk. And then they're saying, well, your sobriety, your life is your own, and all of the problems of your own making, and you're offended. And then they say you need God, and you need to quit playing God, which you're probably more offended. And then you go through this
because I'm really good at playing God.
You're a professional God. And then you go through the action part of things, and you realize that you're being driven by fear and not by God, and that's what's separating you. And then you find God, and you have this experience, and it's not contingent on what happens to the alcoholic. And then the other part of it is when the alcoholic gets sober, they're suggesting that a lot of people in your position would rest on their laurels and go, I got the solution. Life is great. Let's go live.
And I would say that's probably true. Like, we could read this book. We could read this page from the AA perspective, also from the alcoholic perspective. They go to the rooms to get relief, go to the rooms, and then, oh, I'm good. Actually, yeah, I got my life back. I'm sober now. I have a job. I have my family, and I don't need to stay here. But the reality is that part of the beautiful part of this whole fellowship process is that it's this constant like interchange, and I actually can keep growing throughout my entire life. It's not like I just grow to like this point and then, oh, I don't need this anymore. No, I want to keep growing. And we have really seen that through 12-step groups, that's like a really good way to continue to grow and to learn. It's not like I get to this certain place and like, yeah, I'm good now.
But continuing to grow in my experience with God, to be able to be useful to others. And so I think that's one of the challenges of recovery. It's like all of a sudden we kind of enter into a relationship with God, and we think that the problem is our drinking or relationships. And then because we have contact with God, those things actually are solved, and then we go about our business.
And if the God thing turns you off, there's a phrase in the big book that reminds us about contempt prior to investigation. And if you're doing such a great job at running your life, wouldn't it look better? Maybe you're not doing such a great job at running your life, and maybe it's worth investigating if there is another way.
And then I think we have a responsibility, those that have found the solution, a spiritual solution, is to share that way more than our addiction, because most people in addiction get that. And I think that there's a line of transmission that, yeah, I've lost everything and I've done this, and I don't get into the depths of the consequence of what alcohol did to me, but I talk about what it did for me. And then now I talk about what God does for me and through me and to me. And that's what I'm excited to share.
Mm-hmm.
And then help lead people into that. And our job is to hold their hands into the hand of God and then release them and not hold on to them. Because I think a lot of times we could do that as well. So the meditation today is simply finding the solution of God, growing in that solution, and be effective message bearers because of it. And so that's all we got. That's all I got. Keep the peace, be good behavior, and we will see you tomorrow at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye, everyone.